As you can see behind me, I think this might be the very first foal of the year. Like I say, I think he's only maybe a couple of weeks old. But no, there you have it. Like I said, the first foal of the year. So, good morning, Catholic. Good morning to you. Catho G, good morning to you. Dave W, good morning to you as well. Good morning, good morning, good morning to everyone. Oh, how are we all today? Hope we're all doing fantastically well today. Oh, so what we're going to talk about today. Well, Paul, good morning to you. Pretty Bird, greetings to you as well. Oh yeah, I might be doing a video about Double Down News. Dave W, what do you think to Labour's new attack plans? That's something we're going to talk about today. Got some more pony for you. And we look at another foal. Another foal, don't know if you can see him. Oh, he's disappeared. Hang on. There he is. Oh no, there he is. Like I say, it is falling season, so we'll be expecting to see a lot of them. But since Dave's asked the question, what do I think to Labour's new attack ad? Oh dear. Sorry, but it's a complete misstep. It is an absolute complete misstep. Especially when you can attack them on something far, far better. It's just... yeah, it's a complete and absolute misstep. Those ads, I wonder if that intern got fired. Well, someone should be at least examining what they're putting out, because, like I say, even Facebook, if you've seen those ads, has actually had to put out a correction. Like, they've actually had to go out and issue a correction on those ads. That's how bad those ads have been. That it's gotten to that level. So, oh, Fact, good morning to you. Ugh. Try and get through this mud. There we go. There we go. Ooh. There we go. So it is. It's an absolute. Honestly, it's complete and absolute. It's an absolute disaster of an attempt to attack Rishi Sunak. And it's yet there's so much better attack ads they could attack them on. I mean, we've been talking about a lot on this channel about the fact that they have basically decimated one of like the three pillars of the justice system, and that is the courts. And they have decimated it because they have defunded it to such an extent that it no longer can work. So you've got this entire system that just doesn't work anymore. And yet that would be a far, far better attack ad. And I would have expected Keir Starmer, who was, again, former head of the Crown Prosecution Service, to at least be able to attack them better on that. Because the perfect attack line is that you've often heard the line, what is it, justice delayed is justice denied. So what you do is you go justice definanced, justice denied, and then underneath that you go, the Tories have stripped our courts of resources to the bone and has denied victims of crime the justice they deserve. That right there is a far, far better attack line ad than what was put out recently. It would be so much better. Oh, Horton, good morning to you. Morning. Labour will never be. Labour will. Pardon me. Let me get my teeth in properly this morning. Labour will never outflank the nasty smears. It's morally bad. It's a morally bad approach and a politically ignorant one. Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I say, right from the start, it was a bad ad. But like I say, they can attack them just on that alone. I mean, bear in mind, this can feed into the whole, and it does feed into the whole fact that the asylum system is a complete mess because they've chronically underfunded, absolutely everything. And yet they're trying to, look tough by saying, oh, we'll put people on barges. Well, congratulations. You've managed to house, 0.03% of all asylum applicants. Good job, guys. Good job. What would be far better is spending that money, putting it back into the justice system. Not only do asylum claims actually get processed, but then also the justice system will also have enough money to be able to do this stuff. It's not rocket science. And it's just, to be honest, like I say, it's just really disappointing. And I hope that they've learned a lesson from this, that it was not a good idea to go down. But as we've said before, so much they could attack them on, and you could just go after them just for the fact that they've defunded the justice system. I mean, as I've just said, I've just given you a perfect attack ad of what you could do. Oh, disgruntled Brummy, good morning to you. Paul, it's a meme. It's a mean political ads. But one fact can be proved wrong. It undermined the idea. Don't give ammo to the enemy who will be very low on ammunition. Exactly. Exactly. That's one of the biggest things that this ad will have unfortunately done now. It's given the Conservatives a bit of ammunition to be able to undermine anything that Labour now may throw at them when it comes to this area. Because let's say we pull out the attack out. Oh well, the reason why the justice system is in such a mess is because you've defunded it so absolutely and utterly completely. It can barely function. We've got crumbling courtrooms, all kinds of stuff. Like I say, if you follow, like I say, and I always say this when we talk about this, if you follow The Secret Barrister and look at their stories of just how bad, like, the system is on a functioning level. Oh, Ben, good morning to you as well. If you look how bad it is just on a functioning level, that is because it does not have the resources to run. And you could attack them on that, but then any Conservative can immediately turn around and just say, oh well, my opponent here is clearly telling a lie, and then make reference to that whole Rishi Sunak ad, allowing them to deviate off the conversation and allowing them to the fact that Labour got that wrong. And bear in mind, this is what I find often hilarious. This is why today I'm going to be doing a video about Double Down News, because they've put out a video called Keir Starmer Exposed, and it's really bad. It's really, really bad. So, and not only that, all the right-wing press have been having an absolute field day about this. And yet, you've got people on the left, like Double Down News, who say that Starmer's part of the establishment and that they all love him. Well, no one in the right-wing press is out there praising Keir Starmer at the moment. No one's doing it. They hate him. They do not want Labour to win. They would far rather keep this god-awful Tory party in for another 5 years, because that's the party who they support. So this idea that, Keir Starmer's loved by the mainstream or by, these shadowy elites. Yeah, no, they don't. All the right-wing press have all lambasted laying into Starmer on this, and it's given them the massive opportunity to say that, this is why the Tory party is the party of law and order. Look how wrong Labour got this. So, unfortunately, it was a massive own goal. A massive own goal, and it gives them a free pass, unfortunately. Gives them a massive free pass. And it really, really does make you wonder. At least I hope that they have at least rethought their attack ads on this, because they could have done a so much better one. Because if you want to take that ad and turn it into a proper one, you could say that Rishi Sunak has, I'm just trying to on the spot reword write it now. Patrick H, good morning to you. I'm just trying to sort of reword it now. Let's see, you could go, Rishi Sunak has defunded the justice, the criminal court system to a point where No. Yeah, Rishi Sunak has defunded the UK court system to a point where... good morning, Bakura. Good morning to you. Patrick H, good morning to you as well. And like I say, good morning to everyone else as well. Please do remember to hit the like and share button as while you are here. We're trying to rewrite this ad on the fly. I'm just trying to think where... No, I think you'd have to go probably with something like the fact that these people who have committed violent crimes are able to get away with it because of Rishi Sunak defunding the court system. That's the ad and the direction they need to go. No, that's it. Rishi Sunak has denied justice to victims of violent crime because he has defunded the UK justice system. That is a far, far better one. Oh, hang on. Walked straight into a bog there. Oh, are we getting a bit of Barnsley Triangle? Well, like I say, I'm sort of staying away from the area. Mithril, good morning to you. Yeah, but like I say, so much more, so much more. They could have gone after the Conservatives on. Yeah, don't wind up like the Vicar of Dibley with those puddles. This is it when you're doing this type of live stream. You know, I can only really watch sort of the comments, or at least read the comments, or I have to stop and read the comments. I can't walk and read at the same time sometimes, which is at least until we get to the summer, at least until this field is dried out a bit more properly. Hey, and I'm not having to wear my wellies. I can just wear my normal walking boots, and we can get around this field no problem. Oh. They're probably saving their best campaign ads for the actual election. Well, here's the thing: you need to. It's not a question of saving their best until the actual election. They really need to be testing, and I hope they are. Like I say, we know that there are focus groups out there and sort of probably talking about this, and it worries me, as I've said before, that Deborah Mitchinson is his chief campaign officer, because she wrote a book shortly after the 2019 election disaster for Labour, and I think she got the red wall and people in the red wall completely wrong. Even one of her focus groups wasn't actually in the red wall to which she described. It's very, very worrying that she's the chief campaign officer, but yeah. But ultimately, this is something she will be responsible for, and at least I hope she learns a lesson on this, because it really, really does worry me for that one. Well, the thing is, focus groups are a good idea. This is a lot of things that people attack, people attack all the time. Focus groups are actually a good idea, because it does give you a good snapshot of what's going on. But in order to order a bigger picture, you need to be doing multiple focus groups across multiple constituencies. And from what we can see at the moment, that is something that is going on. This is something that they are doing. And again, we'll have to see what comes of this, because, like I say, this will pretty much inform Labour's entire campaign strategy. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I worry that Starmer is going to be steady and boring. And the thing is, at the moment, we need someone who is willing to be at least a bit brave in putting forward some good political ideas. And the thing is, he can be steady and boring, because Rishi Sunak is not, shall we say, the most charismatic person when it comes to it. And certainly if Starmer can pull out a good, big, policy proposal, that will really win him a lot of votes, because I think this is what people really want. They want something sort of really big and bold, and I think that will really pick up that. Yeah, we need someone who's ruthless. The triangle strikes. Oh no. Well, the thing is, Miffle, how do you know that's what the population wants? Unless you do these focus groups and you go and ask them, it doesn't really sort of represent the whole population at that point. Even if you went inside your own political party and went, okay, this is what we want. And of course, this is what led to, well, a bit of Corbyn's own disaster. He only went and listened. They actually jettisoned the idea of doing focus groups. And if they had done focus groups, because there were other left-wing groups, like I say, there were other left-wing groups who were doing sort of focus groups and looking at polling and people in the north, and they were sounding the alarm bell about what was going on in the Red Wall up in the north. And unfortunately, they were not listened to. Corbyn did not listen to any of these people, because they were considered by Momentum, by Corbyn, to be well, right-wingers. And well, we all know what happened in 2019. Yeah, Bakura, yeah, when someone is steady and boring, you know they're more sensible for the job, yet people still vote for people like Boris. Exactly. And of course, Boris's personality had a lot to do with it as well. Let's not deny that as well, in 2019. Ooh, ooh. Focus groups are for politicians who think that business schools provide good education. Well, here's the thing, you shouldn't dismiss focus groups, because focus groups are incredibly useful, even in political circumstances. It's just that how you do these focus groups is what matters. Oh, hang on. Ben. I think this ad will concern long-time Labour supporters. It isn't something that we've really seen from Labour before, but I think the shop floor voter might see it as an appropriate response to Tory ads. Exactly. Cavalan 100, good morning to you. So, you got a big brouhaha a couple of weeks ago where, oh my God, Keir Starmer's quoting Margaret Thatcher. Keir Starmer's quoting Margaret Thatcher. Oh my God. Here's the thing. What did Keir Starmer actually say? It was about the justice system. Margaret Thatcher said, yeah, the justice system is an important pillar of our state. She's not wrong. And I know many people, and of course, being a lad from a former mining town, you'd expect me saying, oh my God, Margaret Thatcher was right about something, me bursting into flames. But unfortunately, this is what a lot of people on the left don't really seem to understand. And you are right, this is something new territory for Labour to be really sort of stepping onto, this idea of, that we should care about what goes on in our courts, and we should care about this system that many people on the left really don't care about. And that in itself is a big problem. Because if, as we've seen, if you defund this system, it causes huge backlogs of cases. You've got people saying at the moment in the whole justice system that now is like the best time ever in UK history to be a criminal. Because the chances are that you will be able to go free just on the fact that witnesses may not even be able to remember or recall the event that witness is trying to recall. Oh. Pony of the lake. So it is new territory, but it is something we on the left should actually care about. And it's sort of a bit upsetting when you see people on the left having a go at Starmer, basically bringing up what is a basic principle of the justice system, that these courts are a cornerstone, are a pillar of it, and it's something that we should be funding, something we should be caring about. And yet that is now, oh my God, he's quoting Margaret Thatcher. Well, Margaret Thatcher was not wrong either, because we are seeing the consequences today of what happens when you don't care about the justice system, or at least you don't care about the court system. And the left loves to go out on the usual. I know I'm saying the left a lot, but it is, and I'm including myself in that as well. I said it before at the morning when we started today. We talked about the idea of, justice delayed is justice denied. That is something the left always says. It is something that has been at the core of so many of, like, you've seen of protests, especially organised by the left, and yet this is something they're not embracing. And I can't understand why they're not, but there you go. Yeah, also the last election, yeah, that's very true. The last last local election campaign did highlight that Labour Council's ineptitude of omitting the fact that Tories have been chopping down their budgets for years. Yeah. Patrick, it's ironic the Tories have claimed to be the party of law and order as long as I can remember. Well, exactly, this is it. There's so many things Labour can actually attack them on this. And it's, like I say, the ad is just a massive, massive, colossal mistake. Yeah, Pretty Bird, yeah, a functioning justice system is a basic for civil society. Starmer is trying to be a redistributive law person. We know that the Scandinavian model works much better. Yeah, exactly. I agree with you on that completely. The Scandinavian model really is what works. And I've said it before, being tough on crime, well, what does that actually mean? Locking people up for longer or even sometimes sending them to prison in the first place, has other long-term and other different social consequences. It appears the Barnsley Triangle has now become sentient, is now following me. Oh no. Oh no. It's very quickly becoming an episode of Lost. Oh. But hopefully this path is a bit more dried out than usual. So like I say, do forgive me if I don't read your comments, because like I say, I've got to pay attention to this path. So I do apologise if I miss your comments or anything like that, because like I say, I've got to stay upright on this path. Nope. And this is something that I don't think the left is very good either, because it's very seen as being sort of pro, big on this. It's sort of very seen as a very sort of right-wing thing, not something that people do on the left, which is a bit, again, massively disappointing. Because it is something the left should care about. And very often they don't, which is really annoying. Really annoying. Like I say, I am probably going to do a piece today on Double Down News. And one of the things they go after Starmer for was, oh my God, he worked in the Crown Prosecution Service. And why is that a bad thing that he worked for the Crown Prosecution Service? But yeah, we'll get into that probably later today, and it will probably be quite a long video as well. Yeah, I'm already not looking forward to doing it. Oh. And of course, the other thing I wanted to talk about was, you may remember a couple of Good Morning Walks back, we talked about the Michael Gove conspiracy. Hence why today's big episode, or at least today's episode title, was called Onward to the Gove Disco. At least I think that's what I called it. I couldn't remember. But yeah, because we talked about the new group Onward. And of course, its frontman is none other than Michael Gove. And we've talked about the fact before that out of all the Brexiteers, he has been consistently the only one who has not taken the bite of the Brexit cherry. Gove has managed to, Gove has managed to stay in office under numerous prime ministers, and yet he has never ever once taken a bite at the Brexit cherry, which is really weird coming from a man who is an avowed Eurosceptic. It is very, very strange that he has never ever been in a position in cabinet that's had anything to do with Brexit. Even the levelling up secretary job, which is his current sort of baby and brainchild, has nothing to do with Brexit. And yet he was also at the big, if you may remember, the the big Brexit conference where Brexiteers and Remainers from the Conservative Party got together and seemed to break bread. So I think that Gove has been waiting in the wings for the longest time to be able to, shall we say, take to the stage. And I think he thinks soon will be his opportunity. I think that's what he's aiming for. I think he wants to try and do a Cameron. He wants there to be, I think he wants there to be a big election loss so that he can come in I will DM you to why you think Gove's been untouchable for years. So I think that he has been playing the long game, Patrick. And he's been playing this long game in order to essentially be able to do a David Cameron. Because Gove was simultaneously one of not only Cameron's biggest supporters, but would eventually come on to become one of his biggest detractors. And that's because Gove believed initially in what he thinks Cameron's idea was, which was to pull the party from its right-wing origins, or at least its right-wingedness, as sort of when Cameron was running, and sort of drag them back into the centre, because they needed that centre, or those centrist votes, if they were to ever win. And we've discussed before, 25% on the right, 25% on the left, and in the centre there's a massive 30% of people who say that they're centrists. So if any party is to ever win, then it is about not only getting their people on the left for them to vote, which is why I've said before, even if you don't like Keir Starmer, voting Labour is the only way forward, especially if you want to get the Tories out, and you actually want to see some progressive policies. Starmer has put forward some good policies, like the new Green Workers New Deal, which is really good because it gives unions more power. Then you've got people like Ed Miliband, who's going to be the business secretary. He's very, very progressive and has talked a lot about how he wants to work with unions more in order to be able to give unions sort of more power. So there's a lot to talk about on this. And I think Gove's plan, from what we've seen of Onwards, I'll go back to talking about Michael Gove, because I get off on tangents, I do on these walks. So Gove's plan, at least, is to do a Cameron, but not go completely to the right. And I think he wants to strike a better balance from it being a right-wing party and a centrist party. I think he wants it to be a more right-wing party, from what you can see from what Onwards, what the video in Onwards talked about. But he still wants there to be elements to attract those centrist voters, but not too far right that it frightens them off. Because we've been seeing, and I think we'll see this again at the local elections, I think you will see people and Conservatives, because we saw this at the last local election under Boris, them not turn out to vote, that's one, but also potentially even change their votes. That is another... thing that we've seen. And if you remember, we talked about Compass, sort of a campaign group wanting sort of, you know, political reform. They've also pushed the idea very recently of we should go to PR for councils as well. And there's actually a campaign called Councils for PR. Sort of that they can get in and sort of they can do. So that'll be a very interesting campaign if that sort of kicks up steam. I suspect it might. Given how successful sort of Labour for PR has been. The fact that even very recently we had a Conservative viewpoint, something we don't get to see very often. That's why I sort of went through it in the videos about what the Conservative take on a PR system is. And they're not against the idea, which is good, because it means that we can win over, you know, Conservative voters to voting for PR. So that is, to be honest, very good for us in the long run. It's just more, how do you do it? And I said before, there's a couple of lines in that thing that would be very, very well if you know someone who you're trying to convince who is maybe more on the right, who is sort of a more conservative voter, who you can use those arguments to sort of convince them that PR is a good idea. So definitely worth a watch if you're trying to convince someone who is sort of maybe on the right to something like that up. Don't say lines when you speak about Gove. Bed writings. PR is literally the only way forward. Now, as you said, BHM, it would cease. It would cause a fracture in the already fractured Tory party. Exactly. And the thing is, all these people who are on the left as well, who talk about, oh, we want a socialist party. Well, you'll be able to have your socialist party. And I've said before, I think they'll be kind of shocked when they realise, oh, not many people. Oh, that was a bit concerning then. Nearly lost a welly there. So I think they'll be a bit surprised when they actually realise that, as we said before, there aren't enough socialists in the UK to really form a political party. And I know people are going to say, oh, but what about Corbyn when he was in? Well, Corbyn at that time was putting forward some pretty progressive things, and then he sort of messed it up. I always talked about the fact that they thought they could go from naught to socialist in 60 seconds. And we've always said that even in the British public, there is a lot of scepticism. Even though we have a lot of socialist things like the NHS, there is a lot of scepticism about socialism in itself. We often talk about the polls when it comes to nationalisation. People always go, oh, well, you look at nationalisation, though the polls show people are massively in favour of nationalisation. They are, as we've said before, until you ask, what are people in favour of nationalising? And that's where you get the division. Because water is a fantastic example. So we have seen, prior to our very much disastrous sewage output that we've seen for the past couple of summers, and once again we will be seeing a vast sewage output, I suspect, this summer as well. This will be causing a lot of people to really evaluate, is it a good idea to let these private companies run water, run it for profit, and not in sort of the public good? And you look at the polls before this happening, and water, and people ask, does privatising water, would you want to do that? Well, remember, 60% of the British public, when we see these polls, in favour of nationalisation. But again, when it comes to asking what, this is where it changes. And again, you look at the past polls, not the sort of more recent ones, but you look at the past ones, and when it comes to water, it was around, I think 25% said they would like that. So bear this in mind. 60%, oh yes, we're vastly in favour of nationalisation. What about privatising water utility companies? I don't think so, was the vast response from people. However, if you've been watching the polls recently and you have seen the disastrous photos of all those sewage outflows, guess what's happened to people's favourability about privatising water? It's gone up. From what I remember, it's something about 48%. So this is people, once again, making the argument that, look, these private companies are failing. So we need to sort of re-privatise the system, or to start to bring it back into public ownership, because you can see just how clearly they are failing, on this. And I think Theresa Coffey announced recently that she was going to spend, I think it was, was it £58 million on trying to stop this? And then all these experts come out and say, actually, sorry, Coffey, if you really want to solve this problem, you need to actually be spending something in the region of about £208 billion if you really want to solve this problem. And it's the typical Tory response. When you see these disasters that we see happening all the time, oh, well, we know it's private companies' faults, but we're not going to really admit that it's their fault. But we are going to give them money. And you go, oh, great, excellent. You're going to finally give them money to help them solve these problems. And of course, it is such a piddling amount that it is barely even going to solve the problem, according to all these experts that you've seen talking about this. So, it's just, again, big, massive problem that, the government's got to solve. But of course, if you want to nationalise things as well, you've also got to have a good economy. And I've talked before about how the left, and again, I know I'm using the left, but it is people on the left who really don't talk about favourability of for business. Catho G. There was a caller on James O'Brien who spends £200 to have sewage removed to the plant down the road and then pump it into the river behind his house. Yeah. And again, this is something else they could solve. Yeah, Jonian K. Solving problems would be counterproductive for the Tory government. It would risk sending the signal that that's what a government is for. Exactly. It would also risk sending the signal that if you actually spend the proper amount of money on these problems and you're willing to spend the money, then government spending is actually not a bad thing, as the Tories often love to claim. And of course, this raises the possibility of, well, now maybe we actually have to raise taxes on rich, maybe start taxing those dividends, etc. I'm an anti-capitalist. Why should I have anything good to say about businesses? Purely because of the fact, well, it provides people jobs. You do not have to be an anti-capitalist to say it is a good thing that people can have a job. And not only that, we need to look at, people who start small businesses. 80% of the business infrastructure in the UK is in around small businesses. And yet people on the left almost have nothing to say to, let's say, someone who might have spent 10 years maybe building up an IT company. And now this person employs about 20 people in the local area. Well, he's never going to turn into a big multinational business, but he wants to see things that would maybe help his business grow and maybe prosper so that he can hire more people. What's wrong with saying he's a good example of someone on the left who, he treats his workers well. They get a good compensation package. They're part of, unions. There's a whole swathe of things that we can do. And unfortunately, because there is not this thing, hang on a second. There we go. So, why not say that this person is a good example of a business person who treats his workers well, who follows the rules and the law on this, and yet, provides about maybe like 20 or 30 people, because the idea that some of these companies are going to want to become big, massive multi-conglomerates is never really true. Only very, very few companies ever become what we call unicorns, which is sort of, your Apples, your Microsoft, your IBM type businesses. Most other companies are going to remain very sort of, small to medium enterprises. They're never really going to employ more than 100 people. And it sort of shocks me that people don't pay that enough attention, that, we really should be looking at how the left can look at someone who runs a small business. Or maybe, it's a woman who runs a small cafe in the town, and she hires what 3 people full-time and then 2 others part-time? So why can't we say that those people are good for your economy, good for, good for the local area? We just don't see that. And it's really disappointing, because unfortunately, because this doesn't happen, these types of people go, well, because the left doesn't cater for me, or even worse, people on the left will turn around and say those people are evil anti-capitalists. How dare they profit from the labour of their workers? What do you think happens to these people? What do you think happens to those people? Well, they go off, and maybe their business is somewhat of a success. But who do they end up donating to? They don't end up donating to left-wing causes, because left-wing causes admonish them. And it's something we really need to sort of look at. And you don't have to be praising big international corporations, corporations. That's fine. I'm not saying you have to do that, but look at local businesses, or small businesses that might never ever grow into big multinational big corporations or anything like that. They may just stay at about 10, maybe even grow to like 30 people that they hire. It's a good thing that, and we should always encourage people to sort of be sort of industrious and give them those opportunities to do that. And it is not anti-capitalist to say that. You've got to sort of encourage these people and give them the opportunities to do that, because these types of businesses are not only good for local areas, they're good for our economy as well. So, yep, local businesses keep money. Exactly. And of course, then the local economy helps to power the big national economy as well. And those local businesses become contributors to that. And like I say, maybe they end up growing. Maybe they end up becoming, maybe this IT company ends up servicing more people in Yorkshire. Maybe this company ends up hiring, grows from 15 people to work to be about 50 people. And maybe that's it. Maybe that's as big as that business ever goes, because the business owner just goes, well, I really don't want to grow any bigger than this. That's fine, But unfortunately, there are a lot of people left who sort of demonize that, and what happens to these people? Well, they don't end up supporting left-wing causes because, again, people on the left sort of demonize them. And I've said before, the left needs to think more about how it can be pro-business. And that doesn't mean suddenly becoming a capitalist or pro-capitalist, because there are lots of solutions in frameworks like, socialism or whatever, to say how they can encourage businesses. I've always said this is the big shocking thing. Dan Jarvis, who is, if you may remember, we've said before, was purported to be one of the big successors to sort of Tony Blair when he became mayor of South Yorkshire, set up a organisation within the South Yorkshire sort of city, regional city framework when he became mayor, to help businesses transition into social cooperatives if they so wished. And yet, people would, if you were to ask someone again about Dan Jarvis, maybe who's on the left, how are they describing? Well, he would be classed as on the right, but yet, why did he set up a business within the South Yorkshire City Council to help businesses become a social cooperative? Oh, but yeah. Anyway, it's it's a long sort of topic, and like I say, it's something people on the left really need to sort of give a lot of thought to. Yeah, exactly, Patrick. Yeah, working for a multinational business makes you feel like a number. Working for a small business makes you feel like you matter. Exactly. And like I say, I've worked in a lot of small businesses. I've done a lot of work for small businesses, and yeah, it is true. I found working for small businesses to be a lot more rewarding. It may not pay as much, as if I could, go and work for a big multinational, but I find working for small businesses a lot more rewarding. So, yeah. So, as always, we have once again reached the end of our lovely good morning walk. As you can see, the ponies are tucking in, having breakfast, so I'm going to go back and have mine. And like I say, as always, guys, thank you very much for joining me today on today's good morning walk. As always, go out, have fun, enjoy yourself, have fun this weekend. Like I say, I know it's the Easter weekend today, so go out, enjoy yourselves, get yourself a nice egg for tomorrow. And of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.